The years leading up to and during menopause are a rite of passage. The wise woman inside of us is calling to slow down, to take stock, to speak our truth, to burn away all that no longer serves us, ready for our next cycle of life. The good news is, with the support, community, connection, and most of all, sharing our stories and being truly seen and heard, we will travel through this powerful, sometimes painful, heroine's journey and out the other side. Welcome to the Menopause Podcast, real and raw stories of midlife and mental health. I'm your host, Kylie Patchett, menopause self-care coach and storyteller, and I am so glad you found us. Let's get on with the show. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I've just had a monumental faux pas that we've just restarted the recording for. Welcome, the beautiful Laura Feeney. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited.
Welcome.
Fantastic.
I love everything that you put out on Instagram, and I was just like, you know what? We need this lady on the show. So welcome. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much. I love everything that you do. I love your podcast.
That's so cool. It's so cool to know that these stories connect with people, because sometimes you kind of you record them in isolation, like you're not recording in front of people, so you don't know how people. But the downloads keep on climbing, so I figure we're doing something right.
Exactly. Obviously, telling the stories that need to be heard.
Yeah, I think just sharing stories and hearing stories breaks so much stigma and so much like this is not normal. Like we're just breaking all of that crap that kind of
like centuries
makes us feel
of it,
like we're in isolation. Anyway, could you please introduce your beautiful self to our listeners? Now we've had that little solving the world's problems.
Right. In 5 minutes. Oh gosh. So thank you so much, Kylie. So my name is Laura Feeney. I am American, but I live in Ireland. I've been actually outside of the US now longer than I lived in it. So I left in 1990 and went to France to be a student, met an Irishman.
Wow.
Long story short, I'm still here. So I live in a small town in the middle of Ireland. I started teaching yoga in 2004 and I opened a studio in 2007 and we're still going. So
cool.
That's that in a nutshell. I have 4 kids, mostly grown-ups. And since let's see, for the past few years now, I have been focusing a lot more on women's transition at menopause. And of course, like so many of us, a lot of that has to do with, bumping up into that in my own life. And, it's been really enriching, and it's also been different trying to talk about these things in a small town. It's been interesting, but it's also very rewarding to kind of have life and work sort of working together, I think, for once.
Amen to that.
Such as it is, but yes, that's kind of the nutshell version. And so that's what I do mostly is teach movement and yoga classes, and I incorporated loads of different modalities in that as well. So
that's what I love about all your videos. Like so often I'm like, I've never thought to put that and that together. Like you do.
Thank you.
One of the ones that you did the other day was you had 2 little squishy balls.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what you actually did with them in the end, but I was like, that is so simple. And I gave it a go the next day because I was like,
fantastic.
And I'm like, that is so, what did you do with them? Remind me. Oh my God,
if it was a recent one, it might have been a low back massage.
Yes, I think that was it.
A low back massage practice. Yeah, I started working with massage tools as a result of it, and kind of some ongoing pain and injury things that I had. And that was just sort of yoga and career speaking. That was sort of the beginning of a shift towards a completely different way of teaching. That also, again, kind of coincided with all the stuff that was going on in my own body.
Yep.
And
as it does.
it does. And it did start as my own body, but not so much as an awareness of, oh, this is changing. It's just, this is happening. And how do I deal with it? So
when you say it changed the way that you taught, in what way were you teaching? More kind of strenuous sort of forms of yoga, or what
I was never that kind of teacher. I suppose at the time, and you know what was so weird is it's hard to remember life pre-pandemic.
Well, yes, and also perimenopause makes your brain
and then
fry.
Perimenopause makes it worse.
You've got no hope, Laura.
It's all just a blur in the past few years. But I never taught super strenuous yoga. I was never into, because I came to teaching a bit later in life, sort of late 30s, early 40s. But I was teaching vinyasa classes. So lots of sun salutations, lots of flowing movements. And I did love that way of practicing, but I was experiencing chronic pain in a couple areas in my body. And interestingly, I listened to your podcast recently. It was just you talking about some of the things.
Chronic pain.
And I was there going, oh, yep. Yes. I can relate to all of that. So that way of teaching just wasn't working.
It's not sustainable, is it?
Yes. I'm going through this phase of like, if I keep studying with these different teachers and these different methods, I'm going to find the method that's right. That's the right alignment, the right shape, that it's going to all click in, the pain will stop, and it will. And of course, that's never how it is, because then it's about the pose and the practice, and it wasn't about what I needed to do for my own body. And it took me a little while to come to terms with that, because when something is, it's your job and you love it, I could just make this right somehow.
I hear you.
But I had to kind of not so much start from scratch, but really look at what I was doing, why it wasn't working, what I needed to do instead. And that did slowly but kind of radically change how I teach. So
it's like
a lot of the.
Sorry. As you're talking, the word that's coming to my mind is reimagining. It's like, I'm not giving yoga up.
Right.
But I need to find a way, because I haven't been able to practice for, I think, 5 or 6 months now. I've been banned completely from all yoga. And that is, I've found that really difficult. But I've also realized that the way that I was practicing, and the depth of, because I'm so hyper flexible, the depth of like binds that I can hold and things, that my body really enjoyed, because part of Ehlers-Danlos is you don't have good interoception. So you don't really know where you are in space. But when you're in a deep bind, that's one of the only times that I can actually feel where I am.
Right. You have that contact.
Doesn't make sense to anyone that hasn't had.
It does. It totally makes sense.
And so giving up the thing that gave me that connection has been really hard. But I also realized that it was almost becoming a little bit addictive. Like when I was first doing my teacher training, I was training at a hot yoga studio, not in hot yoga, but it just happened to. So I was doing 5 hot yoga classes every week. And to the point of I couldn't do it now. I wouldn't have the energy. I don't have the bandwidth.
No.
I can't stand the heat, like all of the things. But at that stage of my life, it was just part of the same pattern of push, 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 and not listen. Like I just was completely not aware. And I think as you're talking, like reimagine, but also that surrender of like, this is not sustainable. Right. No matter how I kind of position it in my head, it ain't sustainable.
Try to come at it from a different angle.
Yeah, and it's
if I do it this way, well, it's no, it's not. And I have no EDS diagnosis, but I'm definitely have hypermobility. Yeah.
Yoga teachers
myself, and it's yes, they
very common. In fact, the rheumatologist that I actually gave me the diagnosis, he's like, you would be probably the 20th yoga teacher with EDS that I've diagnosed this year. And I'm like, and when I was younger, I did many years of ballet, not very well, but many years of ballet, because you can get into all sorts of shapes and then you get on point and you're hyperextending your ankle joint, which feels really good because you know where you are in space. That connection to being in extreme shapes, like it was an addiction, definitely. I'm finding I've been sent to Pilates by my physio. Now, I've tried Pilates before and I've absolutely hated it because it's so much more subtle. Not always, but I'm not talking about reformer Pilates, just mat Pilates.
Okay, just mat.
Yeah. It's so much more subtle, and there isn't that real, there's not necessarily a depth of the movement that you get out of yoga. But it is really interesting to watch how mindful I have to be, because this teacher, she's actually was a professional dancer, so very body mechanic minded. And so her prompting is very specific. So, for example, like we were on our backs the other day and all we were doing was putting our hands from the side of our bodies up. That's it, like just above our heads, straight across. And then she was giving these just really specific cues. And I actually identified with her, and on reflection, that I actually don't use the muscles at the back of my shoulder blades to move my arms at all. I kind of shrug myself into position. And it's like all those little tiny things. It's quite amazing.
It's so, it can be really interesting to make those sensory connections in the body and go, oh, there's something moving there that I didn't. Right. When you get that kind of good cueing, it's
the cueing. Oh my goodness. I tell you what, if I ever have the honor of going back to yoga teaching, which I don't know whether I will, but if I ever do, I feel like this experience will make my cueing much more thorough and specific.
I would say.
Rather than just like, we'll just hang out here and do whatever. Anyway, that's a whole other kettle of fish. I'm interested, when you were saying before, you were talking about having your yoga studio in a smaller town and then starting to talk about menopause and, that kind of, do you feel like there was a little bit of resistance because you were talking about the unmentionable M word?
So much resistance. Yeah. I remember probably maybe not quite 10 years ago, maybe like 7 or 8 years ago, before I even was aware of terms like perimenopause, but I wanted to, or even my own kind of heading towards that direction. I wanted to run a menopause workshop, and I thought it sounded like a great idea because women would say things to me in passing, or, I'd have one-to-one clients come to me, and I thought, well, this will be great. Not a single person booked in. And I did have a couple of people say to me, saying, well, I would be interested in that, but I don't want anybody to know that I'm in, because I am in a small town, and they didn't want to see their neighbors there and have their neighbors knowing that they were in menopause. And I had that reoccur in during the pandemic, one of the things that I did that I'm not now very good at because life started again, but I started a Facebook group because there was a couple of enormous Facebook groups, especially one here in Ireland, focusing on menopause. Yeah. And as you can imagine, when you have 10,000 women actually in a group talking, there was, and you never ever want to dismiss anybody's feelings or experience or anything like that. But there's a lot of negativity in it. And in fact, any time anybody tried to say, hey, what if you tried this? It was, and I feel like that does kind of feed on itself to a certain extent. So I wanted to start a group where we weren't, because I'm not a doctor, we're not talking about HRT, we're just talking about different things that we could do. Yeah. And I got people messaging me through the group because I guess Facebook geolocates.
Yes, it does.
They were all mostly local. And I would get people messaging me in the group going, I really want to ask this question, but my neighbor down the road is in the group too. And I don't, like, goodness,
Has that changed over time?
Well, I have kind of shelved the group for now because I got busier with it. But I don't know if it has locally. Like, I think as a country, Ireland is definitely talking about it more. Yep. There was sort of this watershed moment where a male radio host, and it ended going on for days, where women were calling in and again, kind of telling their stories about menopause and how they couldn't, get help from their doctors. And it did start a bigger conversation, which is fantastic. Yes. It tends to revolve around HRT. A lot. Yeah. So, again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, we don't want to wade in there.
I'm not going to wade in. Yeah. But I tried it again recently. Yeah. So, last weekend, I thought I do a monthly restorative yoga workshop. Yeah, and so I thought, well, it's right now. I love this sort of thing. I'm going to do, it's Menopause Awareness Month. So I'm going to do a menopause class. Yeah. And it was the same thing again. I ended up with, I think, 4 lovely women. It was amazing, but,
not an indication of how many people.
Exactly. Yeah. The minute I put it into the name, it feels like there's still, and maybe if I were in a bigger city, it might be, but I don't know, because I don't know
that's not your reality.
Experience with that, because it is so new that we're talking about it and in public. And I've had some friends that are quite willing and open, and then I have other friends that are, they very don't know. So, it's I wonder, it's a journey.
I've had a few clients in Ireland, and not every single one of them, but with a couple in particular, my sense is the particularly smaller town Ireland is considerably more conservative than the average Australian kind of, community. However, I would say, like, I live in a small country town, and I've never tried to do a menopause workshop because I just don't even know. I don't know. I mean, maybe I should give it a go if I can ever go back to teaching. But what happens is, same thing. Yeah. People will Facebook message me who I know in town, but it's all on the down low.
Right, exactly.
I listened to that podcast and I really like this, or, it gave me this idea or whatever, but never ever on posts on Facebook.
Like, right, exactly. Not public. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a lot that like that here. And I mean, certainly within the yoga world, there's, I don't know, that's all I can really speak to within Ireland. And I'm speaking as an outsider, of course. There is a huge difference between city and not city. I think the whole term beyond the pale literally refers to Dublin and everything outside Dublin, and it is where it comes from, and that is exactly, I live beyond the veil. It's so definitely that conservatism, and I understand that that was the way, but Ireland has changed in so many ways as well. So I think this is just another thing that it's okay to talk about now. And I do my best within the context of my classes, which are predominantly women anyway, to normalize things and mention it. Just, because I make no secret about my struggles with brain fog, and they're quite evident when you're talking publicly.
Yes, they are. Or podcasting, for instance.
Right. So exactly. It's quite in the moment when it's happening, and I've just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna call it like it is and say it like it is, and put a name to it and normalize it, because there's no point anymore. I don't like this idea of,
and I feel like when we normalize it, then we stop feeling embarrassed or like not ashamed, I think is too strong a word, but that sort of sense of like, oh God, why can I not keep my shit together or whatever? And it's just like, I just can't find the word for that. Like, I had to do that in a podcast this morning, and when I was editing it after the podcast, I thought I could edit that out, and I was like, no, I don't want to edit it out. The whole point is being real about things
and just
normalizing what can happen. I think as we're talking too about the smaller town, I guess there's a very real thing where in a big city, you could go to a yoga workshop and more than likely not run into anybody that you're already connected to.
Yeah.
But in a smaller catchment area, obviously, there is a high likelihood of that. Always, so I guess that's one of the big things. Something that you had written in one of the answers to the questions that we sent out before the podcast, you talked about this beautiful sense that's emerging in midlife of never being done or finished. And I really wanted to touch on this in our chat, because I think it's a beautiful space to be in. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. And I think that's something that let's see, best way to put it, how my own transition is kind of, what's the word? Unfolding.
Yeah.
For me at the moment is that so before I went into menopause, I would have been, because I have 4 kids, as I said, and, I loved the baby part of it. And, the thought of never having a baby again, I just thought, I'm going to really struggle with that. That's going to be so hard for me. How am I going to get past that when my periods stop? And I'm going to really mourn that. And not quite fully postmenopausal yet, but like another month.
Almost. She's at the finish line, people. Exciting.
And the closer I get to that, the more I'm like, actually, I'm really, really good with never having another period. I'm really, really good with the whole thank goodness. I'm not going to ever have to
that's the end
or worry about that again. And I'm so surprised. And I'm like, I thought I was really going to be upset about this, but I'm actually really good with this. I'm excited watching my children become adults and what they're doing with their lives.
Yep.
And that I can also actually be and do and think and feel differently, because we're so wired into motherhood, and then we're unwiring out of motherhood into something else. And I think I love that concept that it's not an ending. I love the idea that we're rewiring. Our brains are rewiring at this time of life. And I think that's so exciting. I think, which are asking me that, I feel like maybe I'd love to say more of that out loud, because it was, until I answered that question, it was kind of just mostly in my head.
Yeah. Well, as you're talking, you're reminding me, I interviewed a cellular health expert earlier today. And one of the things, one of the words that she used for perimenopause was a recalibration. And I really love the language of, I love rewiring as well, but recalibration to me is even more so than rewiring, because it's kind of like we're taking what you have been done like all of the things, all the experiences, all the whatever. And we're kind of putting it all together and recalibrating it specifically for the next phase of life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that is like I've been excited about this as a portal of like rebirth, or, you know, like resetting yourself for quite some time, mainly because if I didn't find a positive frame of perimenopause, I think I probably would have just disappeared down a black hole when my mental health was at its worst. And I was just like, hang on a minute. Yeah. Like every other transition point in our lives, like puberty and then motherhood and the childbirth experience, and then even being a mother, you know, not just
going through,
pregnancy and childbirth and then motherhood is what I meant to say. All of those things, like we, by definition, we come out the other end different to what we were when we went in.
We started,
because it's a transition point. That's just what happens. And once I kind of anchored into that, I was like, okay, so even when I am really struggling, and even when I can't find the flipping word, and even when I've got no emotional bandwidth and I'm just about to scream my head off for the 20th time this week, you know, I keep on falling back into that. And I really love the kind of seasonal idea of perimenopause. And when I kind of feel into perimenopause being autumnal, and then traditional Chinese medicine, you know, that's a beautiful season of like, you bring in the harvest from the seasons before, you turn inwards, you get quiet, you let anything that isn't meant for the next cycle fall away. You know,
and it gets easier to do that at this stage too. Whereas in some of those other stages, that's not so easy to do. But that shedding and letting go of is, I think, as much a part of that recalibrating as
well, it's kind of like you have to declutter your house before you can kind of, you know, redecorate it. Like you can't do it with all the shit,
with all the stuff. Exactly. You got to clear it all away.
Yeah, I just love that, and I love that. Has your idea of what it is to be a woman at 50, a woman at 60, a woman at 70, has that, as you've gone through the transition, started shifting as well? Because I was saying to you before we started recording, I feel like I am becoming really aware of internal ageism stories that I actually didn't even know were there. When I've started to kind of say to myself, well, maybe that's just what happens when you get older, or that's just, you know, like the joint pain thing and stuff. And I was like, what?
Hang on a minute.
There's
yes, absolutely. Because those are old stories. And if you look out into the world around you, you see there are so many people challenging those stories at the moment. You know, which is fantastic. And that is really hard work. I mean, that is like really the hard work of challenging, because there's so many other things in with that ageism, you know, there's a big bunch of factors. Exactly. And it is, like I said, kind of that last taboo that's okay to still be like that. And I think, I think that story is definitely changing, and it is a tough one. It's a tough one because you hear those things out there and you don't relate them to yourself, because you think I don't actually feel that way. I've got aches and pains, but they're not stopping me.
They're not rate limiting, or
exactly. In fact, the aches and pains are making me go, okay, this is going on. What can I do about it? You know, instead of just going, oh, well, this is what it is, and I'm going to accept it. You know, it's, here I am with the words.
It's so good.
It's still early in the morning. It is not the word, an impetus maybe to now I don't know where I was going.
It's all good. It'll come back. I do think though, you've definitely hit the nail on the head there. Like I'm quite shocked to realize that, like, I turned 49 very soon, and I was having a conversation with someone today, and she did this 50 bottles of champagne across 50 weeks in the year leading up to her 50th, catching up with people or having Zoom. I don't drink, so that's not going to help me, but I was like, could definitely do 50 like conscious catch up for coffee, or, you know, and just for the purpose of connection, especially where I live, like I do sometimes feel quite isolated because now I'm working by myself. I don't go into a team environment. So I love interactions with clients, but it's not the same kind of thing as that ongoing sort of community that you build in a workplace. Mind you, I'm very grateful that I don't have to do that as well. So that's a double-edged sword, right?
That's kind of nice.
But I do think that is, a great way to celebrate. But where I was going with that is I'm still shocked at turning 49 because I think my internal ageism expected me to feel very different at 49, but I actually don't feel any different to what I did at, say, well, yes, I do at 30 because I was pregnant with my second child in 12 months. So yes, but you know what I mean? Like in my younger days, I have probably less energy at the moment, but I feel like hopefully postmenopausally that will kind of recalibrate again.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'm hoping. And I have more kind of wisdom, I guess, in terms of just lived experience. But as far as zest for life and interest and all of those things that I feel are the kind of things that keep you young, like I don't feel any different. And so I'm kind of like, well, the fact that you've got this kind of shocking, what is that word? Cognitive dissonance between I'm turning 49 and I don't feel to 49. It's like, well, what are you making 49 mean?
Exactly. So what does that even mean anymore?
It doesn't. Who cares?
It means, right. You know, I mean, and I think that it is a beautiful thing, and it is going to be a very slow change, I think, because society is slow to change, culture is slow to change, but it's great to see that people are starting and that they're having these conversations.
It is really good.
And it's so necessary because, challenging the old ways is
well, we know, I mean, I go back to like my years and years ago mindset coaching training. It's like your mind will filter for things that match your belief system. That's what our brain does. Like it looks for threats and it filters for what you expect to happen and what you know to be true in your version of reality, which is very, I'm using inverted commas because everyone's reality is different because their expectations are different. And so I'm like, wow, maybe it's time for me to actually really consciously pull out all of the things that I'm actually saying underneath the surface, because they're going on an automatic pilot, filtering my reality for stuff that's going to match it. And I'm like, but I want my story to be about, continued good health and especially better connection to my body and its needs. And I feel like, that's a huge growth opportunity for me. But that was what I loved about the tennis ball exercise, because where I get most of my pain is at the back of my pelvis, and I really can't, because of the way that my pelvis is so hyperflexible, I can't really get a stretch or a connection to any of those really deep, like psoas muscles, for instance, or piriformis. And but getting in with balls and changing the amount of weight on the balls, and then like the little wiggles that you can do. And I'm like, exactly. All this stuff is so good.
It's a really proprioceptive practice. And that was what, again, from an injury, chronic pain injury, got into that and was able to study with Jill Miller is the person that I've studied with, and the role model method is what I've been fortunate enough to train in. And for me, it's because some people think the perception of self-massage is you're getting into your muscles and you're getting out knots, and it's really not what it's about. It is that reconnection to your body. Finding places that you didn't know were there through that sensory experience, because we have so many sensory nerve endings. And there's probably a better word for that in our, just thousands and thousands of them right underneath the skin. And when we apply pressure and gentle touch, it really starts to inform the brain of where parts of our body are and how they're feeling and how they move. And to me, that's just super interesting. And it brings me back a little bit to what you were saying about the bind poses.
Yeah.
We were talking about that before or during this one?
During.
Okay. That connection. When you're in a bind, you're grasping usually a part of yourself or your arm, and you have that feedback.
Yes, you do.
From yourself. And it's that same kind of feedback from massage that for me it's grounding, it's calming, it's down regulating. I suppose
definitely
is the word for that. Because you're getting that information at last. Your brain is going, oh, okay, that's where that is. And that's where that is. And that's,
Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode. I think too, as you're talking, you've just made a connection for me. So because I don't know where I am in space very much, it's also really easy, or has been historically really easy, for me to miss hunger signals and thirst signals, and I need to go to the toilet signals, and I just need to sit up because I've been at a desk and I haven't used my sit-stand desk, which I've said twice now in a podcast today and still not stood up. But, and I feel like once you open up any tool for more self-awareness, whether it's through breathwork, which I know you also teach, through those, proprioception activities, anything like yoga or Pilates, where you're being very mindful of where your body is in space, it actually opens up the awareness for all of those sensations, not just in, I'm working with a naturopath at the moment. I'm working on like inflammation sort of stuff. And one of the things that she's got me doing is dry brushing, like very, very committedly twice a day.
Yeah.
But these dry brushing things are so cool. On one side, they've got really heavy magnets and they roll. So you do the rolling first. So you do, and it's all the lymphatic stuff. So all the directions, she gave me a,
I've never seen those.
And so you do that first. And just through that simple motion, I've realized that I've got this funny, weird pain in my left.
Thing.
It's like almost like tricep-y, but deep in behind the tricep. So whatever that is. And then when you do the dry brushing part, because you're already aware of that, it's like, that's actually still sore. And then I'm becoming really aware because my IT bands, because you're going up your legs with the dry brushing for lymphatic massage. And I'm like, holy moly, there's gritty stuff in there.
Yeah.
And so it just reminds me of all the different ways we can open up our self-awareness and our self-connection.
Exactly.
Because I think that is such a key in perimenopause. It's like you are recalibrating, you are rewiring. If you're like 60% of us, you'll experience some symptoms of some, moderate-ish severity. And if you're one of the 20 that has severe symptoms, like even more so, but I continue to come home to this, am I meeting my own needs right now?
Yeah, exactly.
And what even are my needs?
What are they? What can I do? What do I need right now?
Yeah.
Yes. And that was a great circle there. Just that even the self-awareness part it's the internal stuff.
Yes.
For coming to terms with all the different symptoms we might be having, but it is also getting to know our bodies, maybe maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
And realizing we can't just kind of sort of a big yoga thing, kind of separate mind and body because they're not separate. And that when we allow ourselves to feel and sense and check in and notice, that can have a big impact on all those other things. When we're very disconnected from that, it's easy to get swept up into the things that feel bad because
100%.
That's all we're feeling, So it's
and the things that feel bad and also see self-defeating cycles as well. Like I have noticed it's back into fire season, and I was saying to you before, like last fire season, I got into quite a state anxiety wise, and there was obviously a lot of perimenopause going on. The fire season, in Queensland, we live in a very dry state, and my husband is often away, and this year even more so because he's been put into like a division command kind of role. And I feel that I am always on the edge of teetering into numbing things like doom scrolling or watching TV. And like I don't usually watch TV at all, but I have definitely noticed those two things. I haven't gone back to the food habit, which thankfully I'm much more aware of that one. But just that if you're not aware of what you really need, you can slip into the habits of just going to that numbing thing. So whether it's alcohol, whatever your
it is.
Drug of choice is.
Whatever it is.
But mine, I've noticed doom scrolling. And then I started watching this ridiculous makeup program the other day, like a ridiculous, like lovely, lighthearted viewing. But I watched like 8 episodes.
You start binging and that's it. And you don't even realize that time has gone by.
And I went to bed at 12 o'clock and then I felt crap the next day and then struggled to do the work that I wanted and all of those things. But at the time, really what I needed was to come into my office, put my yoga mat down and either put the aircon on really cold so that I could wrap myself up and give myself a really like that
cocoon,
cocoon tight hug type of feeling, or even just a simple rocking practice or whatever, just something that was a self-soothe that wasn't just accessing the drama or the numbing.
Exactly. It's hard because sometimes we do just need to be gentle with ourselves and do the thing that's just going to get us through the moment too, and also be okay with that. As well,
I'm just thinking it's the first month of an 8-month season. I don't think this is good. It's not.
I don't want to start off.
No, I don't want to start off like that. So I've been reframing this fire season as both my daughters are not at home well, one's out completely, one is only home on weekends. And so I've got a house to myself. So that could go very pear-shaped because I could unconsciously be doing all of those things.
Exactly.
Or what I'm choosing to do is just really, really prioritize looking at what I need to do to not be experiencing chronic pain. So that's, very much about nutrition and movement, but also just getting enough sleep and all of those just basic fundamentals, the ones that we don't want to think about because they're so boring.
No, because they're boring, they're simple, they're usually free.
Yeah, free and very effective.
And very effective. That's the thing. And they're not sexy or glamorous. Mm-hmm. Like, say to people, actually, if you just got a little bit better sleep, or you worked on it, maybe, focus on that one thing.
Oh,
it's
goodness.
Not as sexy as,
it's not a quick fix.
Supplement that's going to change all your things, and make you. And that's the hardest thing to try to convince people that actually a lot of this you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of showing you some ideas here.
Just
and these simple things are actually super powerful, but they don't have that big, loud.
Exactly.
That's it. Jazz.
They don't have jazz hands.
That's it. They don't have any of that. Getting a better night's sleep.
So good.
Unless there was a supplement.
Well, we all want the magic pill. I mean, I guess that's human nature, but I do think
definitely human nature, but
the more that we're talking about menopause, though, the more I feel like we are understanding that this is an intervention point. If we haven't, like, if there are things showing up, if there are the chronic pain or the mental health or the whatever, however it's, if there are things that are really bothering you and out of balance, it's like we're in this window of opportunity. We can either fork in the road it and go, wow, thanks for showing me. Here's where I'm going to go.
Forget
instead,
about it.
Because I don't like the trajectory of that fork. Or we can just go, oh, well, screw it. This is, and when you were talking before about those menopause groups, I completely agree. I happened across a post. I don't often go on Facebook, but I happened across a post on Facebook the other night, and one lady had posted anonymously that she hated her husband and that she was going to leave him, and it just became this huge, like, F all the men, they should effing know what we're going through, like a really awful, negative spiraling conversation with no talk about, not that, I mean, obviously this is stepping into coaching mode, which also is inappropriate on Facebook, but no self-awareness around, am I asking for what I need? Am I communicating?
Am I able,
all of that stuff.
And I'm even asking myself what I need, or
this is
just,
I'm just externalizing the rage.
Right. Exactly. And it's easy to do.
Yeah, it is.
It's easy to do. And sometimes we just need to rant, and just need to get it all off our chest. But if you kind of accept it as that, and this is like 5 minutes and I'm just going to let it all out, but it's just because I need to get it out, and it's not the reality, of things. And you can,
God, the catastrophizing that was going on in my head earlier this year. Oh my goodness.
And it's, and I do it all the time, I do it all the time to myself. And that you use the term just there, and now I've forgotten it. Something point. This is the the
intervention point.
Thank you.
It's like this is a window of opportunity. We can intervene.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or we can slide. And right. And I think we have so many more opportunities now to intervene. There's so much more information out there. There's so many more people talking about it. And, the sort of negative voices did get very loud for a while, but I feel like there's a good balance coming up now, saying, hey, look, so there's so much you can do to help yourself. And this is not,
often, as we were just saying, it's all the boring stuff. But I tell you what, if you can just get back to, and that's why I always say back to basic self-care. Like, I'm never, ever talking about taking yourself to a day spa, which is all beautiful.
Exactly. It's lovely, but it's,
3 minutes of breathing, 2 minutes of legs up the wall, all of those tiny things. And like, I know what I need to do, but do I do it
in the kitchen?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Those are the things that are going to make
curious. Sorry, Laura. Curious about some of your videos that I have most loved. You were doing like a brain health kind of series, I think, as I first connected with you on Instagram. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I think it begs being discussed at the intervention discussion, because there is so much we can do to protect our brain health as we go into our postmenopausal years.
Absolutely. Yes. So, I'm just a really big body nerd about movement and body parts.
Yeah.
And then I started becoming a really big brain nerd. This was years and years ago when I first heard about neuroplasticity, and I thought this is so exciting. And it goes back to that idea that we are never done. Our brains are not done. Our brains are not fixed. We're not set. Anyway, that's a different conversation.
But a good one.
Good one. Really good one. Exciting one. But about the same time that I was starting to realize that, oh gosh, this is the beginning of menopause. My mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Now, of course, she's in the US. I'm not there. I have massive amounts of guilt and things, for being so far away. And kind of going back to what I said about when I have something going on, I'm trying to think, what can I do? What can I do? So that was a big, I don't know, light bulb moment isn't the right word, because I suppose the thing that I was struggling with the most at the beginning of menopause and to this day, and in the middle of this podcast, is brain fog. It's been the thing that has made me feel less like me and has really thrown me for a loop. In so many ways. So I was kind of literally muddling my way through that when my mother got this diagnosis. Of course, panic is the first thing that you do. When these things happen. And, kind of along with trying to get help from my mom, I've gone down this road of, okay, what the hell, is brain fog the beginning of, or what's going on? And it led me to, reading the works of people like Lisa Mosconi, Dr. Lisa Mosconi, Sarah, she's Australian as well. So I don't know if it's Mackey or McKay.
It's Mackay.
Okay,
I always get it wrong.
Going to pronounce
have I just got it? I've had her on the podcast.
Yes. Oh, fantastic! I'm going to go back and look for that.
That was a good interview, because she talks about heat, sleep, and mood in terms of neurologically driven changes in perimenopause.
They are neurologically driven changes, and that's kind of what they're discovering. And what they're discovering is that menopause is kind of that beginning of, because the brain is rewiring and because we're going through these different changes, and that, I'm going to relate this specifically to Alzheimer's, because that's what I know a bit more because of my mom, but this is, they're discovering, and I'm not a neuroscientist. But they're discovering that this is where the changes that can lead to dementia, to Alzheimer's, they can begin at this stage of life. They start 20 to 30 years before.
Crazy, isn't it?
Symptoms start showing up. I know. So this is that intervention point where we can go, okay, I'm already feeling this way, I can't remember shit, and I can't remember.
I can't remember what day it is.
And those things are happening, and this is what I know. I don't know genetically if there's a link in our family. They don't do genetic. I found out. Ask my GP. They don't do genetic testing here, so I don't know. I might push a little harder on that one, but just for information. Because genes are not destiny, No. So, this is the time. This is the time. And I feel like these are the bigger things, certainly health-wise. when it comes to menopause. I mean, we have the big things in terms of things we're getting rid of and how we're supporting ourselves and, the mental and emotional changes we're going through.
The psychological
we also have exactly, which are huge. We also have these huge big body changes. And again, we can take this as an opportunity to go, well, kind of took a lot of things for granted up until now.
Oh my goodness.
So,
yes.
So now I have this opportunity, not this horrible thing that's happening. I can't do anything about it. I have this opportunity to go, what can I do to support myself? Because I want to, watch my kids continue to grow. Yeah. I want to be able to do the physical things I enjoy, like my movement practice or lifting weights or hiking or traveling or, those things. So what can I do now to help me 20 or 30 years down the line, future me?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really exciting conversation. Again, it's not as sexy. This will make you lose weight.
It's not as sexy. No, but.
So it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell.
I don't know though, when you say it like that, because that makes me think, like I quite often say on a busy Thursday, when I go to the fridge and Sunday Kylie has pre-prepared all of her meals and put them in jars, and all the Thursday busy Kylie has to do, who is very hungry and has only got 20 minutes to get a decent amount of nutrition into her, grabs that jar. I quite often am going, hey, Sunday Kylie, you're pretty bloody good. And so what you're saying really is you just want to be able to say to Laura in 20 years time, hey, you did good.
So glad you did that. You
did the neuroprotective things that you could.
Exactly. That you could do, the best that you could do. And look, it's nothing's given. We can't predict the future. We all know those people that did everything right and still ended up with dementia. We all know those people that did everything wrong. And are living ripe old age with no so you can't, but you can do the best that you can to support yourself. I'm not going to even the odds, but you can maybe, you can influence. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And there is good research. Now, of course, I don't have anything to cite here.
I know.
But there is so much good research into, and usually the one that comes up somewhere near the top of the list is exercise and movement. And then what we run into at menopause is I know I need to exercise, but I feel like, and I just can't. So I think, again, that's a conversation that can be reframed to something that's more supportive, more gentle. It doesn't have to, we can have completely different conversations about that.
Exactly.
To make it manageable, and not feel like, ooh, I am going to end up, with something because I feel terrible.
Deal. Yeah,
exactly. That's going back to we're not done.
The things that you're reminding me of too, as you're speaking, is just how effective simple things like a balancing exercise where you're swapping a block from hand to hand, or you're tracing, around with your eyes as you're actually saying. So simple things like that like we really have grown up with this idea that the only good exercise is sweaty, breathless, pushing.
You feel like you've killed yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of us, me included, used to love that exercise, and now I feel like I'm going to die. And, maybe that will shift. Exactly. I'm still hopeful that I will get back to that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but I know that at the very least, when I'm lifting my weights and then I add in, I quite often will add in some like eye movement or balancing or simple things like that it's really well known. And, there's a pretty good body of evidence to say that.
Exactly, for that kind of,
the neuroprotective things don't have to be huge. And it's kind of like the unsexy things that we're talking about. It's like, are you hydrated? Have you eaten properly today? Did you get sleep? It's like so boring, but
have you even rested? Even if you can't sleep, you can rest. fast, and it doesn't have to take up a lot of time. And,
yes.
And again, it's so not a big seller. It's not controversial. They do any kind of social media thing. They tell you say something provoking.
With a hook.
Exactly. I'm like, self-massage makes you feel good.
Yeah, exactly. You're worthy food preparation.
Exactly, right. It's just how do you make those powerful yet not sexy things?
Yeah, exactly.
It is a hard one.
Something that I've often had conversations about on this podcast is, did you have a reference point for a woman who did nourish herself or practice self-care in the ways that we're talking about, like the simple, basic, fundamental? Yeah. Do you have a reference point? Because I absolutely do not.
I'm going to say that's an interesting question. I think because I'm Gen X and we grew up, you're probably the same, grew up with Jane Fonda and, grew up
and Dolly magazine saying that you were worthless if you weren't a size 8.
There we go. So I feel like I don't really either because, that was what was so important was diet. I'm on this diet. I'm on that diet. And that's why I'm really, I don't talk about it at all. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not any of those things. And whereas, yes, what you eat is hugely important for your brain.
Yes.
It's out of my scope. But I do feel like when you do talk about it, for so many women, it goes immediately to body size.
Yeah.
And, I hate that for us, I hate that for us as women because we are so much more than our body size. And that's one of the things about my generation that I don't think we do, of our age group, have good role models.
No.
I mean, think of the 90s, especially. There's like competitions for women to be skinnier on TV shows that we were watching.
And the waif kind of Kate Moss kind of, was it Kate Moss? I don't know. I'm not into models, but that right heroin chic thing that was in the 90s. Like what the actual flying hippopotamus was that about? That's
right.
Crazy.
Exactly that. And it puts so much pressure that's so unnecessary on women. In fact, my role models are more women who have struggled with that, and some of them who are still struggling with that. Yeah. And I have struggled with it, and
me too.
Want to get off that bus, and I'd love to,
I think also, as we're talking, the other connection that I'm making is that also contributes to being disconnected from ourselves and our needs when diet culture has told us forever that your body is not right. It's the enemy if it doesn't take up as small amount of space as possible.
Right.
And I have this kind of concept. Many years ago, I used to have a group program, which is mindset coaching for women in business, and it's called Making Friends with Fear. And in my head, there is another program that's making friends with me, because I feel like this whole perimenopause journey has been for me so far really about questioning the things that I believe to be true that are actually absolute bullshit, or they're not healthy, or they're not going to open up a health and lifespan that feels juicy and rich and
that enjoyable.
I interviewed someone the other day and she said ripe and rich, like she's 67, I think.
All those things.
And I was just like, yes, that's what I want.
When you're denying and worrying and literally making yourself smaller, you're going to make your world smaller, you're going to make your mind smaller,
cutting off from pleasure, and so much I have to say about that.
Exactly. That's huge, and just going back to movement, to be able to enjoy it for it feeling good in your body.
Yes.
And not as a punishment.
Yes. And the function of your body. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Not as something, oh, I ate this, I have to do that, or not, oh God, I need to look like this or fit in these clothing. Just because it feels so good to move and stretch and move your joints around. There should be some pleasure in that. I love that word, that ripeness and richness.
Oh, so good.
That.
Total opposite to.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like there's that invitation. It's like the intervention, but also, if not before, and that's certainly been my personal experience, if not before, well connected to yourself and your needs and who you actually are underneath the layers of all this conditioning stuff. Or belief or whatever shit, whatever shit we pick up early in life when we don't know better. And then we come to this, autumnal phase and we're like, do I really want to take that forward? I'm not actually sure. And what would be possible for me if I didn't believe that, if I didn't drag that? Yeah. Who could I be? What wondrous things would life unfold?
Exactly. Don't do that ridiculous thing anymore. I don't need that in my life anymore. And how good it is to be okay with that, to think, I thought I'd always want to be that thing, and now I don't. And I'm actually okay with that. And it's a good thing, because now look what I can do instead,
I'm so glad you brought that up, because it really, that recalibration word, I often will have, for it, actually. What I call like chiropractic adjustments of my belief systems in these in these chats. Like those I did read a book by a neuropsychiatrist called The Upgrade, and she talks about all the different changes in the brain. I didn't love the tone of some of that book, but I think I know the one. I think it's a powerful thing to be aware of, that there is literally unwiring and rewiring. And as she talks about like estrogen being the hormone of accommodation, and when your estrogen starts to, you literally lose the desire to be that, nest and protect type of. Right. And so it is very natural that some of what we used to do will fall away, but it's not that there will be nothing there. Like, I hate the term empty nest, because it's like the only thing I've ever done is raise my children. I'm like, I've done a few more things than that. Yeah.
And also, some of my kids have been away for a while now, and you never stop worrying.
No,
empty nest is a very false.
Exactly. But it also kind of says it's the end. Like, if there's an end, the nest is empty.
And the nest is empty, and you've come to an end, because that was your thing.
You're not useful anymore.
Right.
Don't get me started. It has been a deep joy to connect with you in person. Where can we find you online? Because I'm sure people will want to come and visit. I know you're on Instagram, but
I'm on Instagram. I have a Facebook page that I have the studio page, which is Flourish Movement Studio, but I also have my own page, which is Laura Feeney Movement, I believe. Actually, I have two, because anyway, that's a different.
So
and then I have mostly that I just had so I could do ads. On Instagram, and then I do have a couple things on YouTube, but I'm not very good at YouTube. But it's all mostly Laura Feeney Movement and Yoga is what I'm under, and then Move and Flourish on Instagram.
Exciting. Definitely come and connect with Laura, because your videos, they're a really great reminder, because I often see them when I am doom scrolling, and it's like, boop, have you connected to what your body needs today? No, I have not. So it's a good pattern interrupter for me, but they're so useful, and I keep on saving them. I have a little somatic tools little saving thing on my Instagram, so that when I feel like I want to,
you just need to do a thing.
But I don't, sometimes you don't really even know what you need or where to start. But once you get moving, you're fine. It's just a good little sort of like trigger. Trigger in a good way.
Good.
Thank you so much. I have just loved all that wisdom in there, because I think we're just getting started. We are not at the end of anything. Powerful intervention period, powerful time of shedding and questioning, And I really loved all of the brain health. And thank you for sharing about your mum's journey as well. I know that,
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a rough one, but it's so many are going through it. So it's big.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much, Kylie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening into today's episode. If you love the show, as I hope you do, please take the time to subscribe on your favourite pod listening platform and rate and review. And for bonus points, if you have a friend or someone who popped to mind as you were listening to this episode, why not hit the share link wherever you're listening and send them a little love bomb. Like, listen to this. Did you know this is normal? I really, really, really would love to get these beautiful stories into the hearts and ears and minds of so many more midlife mavens. And your help spreading the love is truly, truly appreciated. Thank you so much. I'm Kylie Patchett, your host, and have a spectacular day.